Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mindfulness Exercises. I'm Sarah May, and I will be leading you in a meditation this morning shortly. But let's just give people a chance to get on the live stream and get settled. And hello and welcome if you are watching this as a recording. So, welcome everyone. And if you are watching it live and you would like to just say hello in the comments, let me know where you are listening in from. That would be wonderful. It also allows your fellow meditators to see how many people are here joining in the practice, and we can observe how we are all present and supporting each other. So, so welcome everyone. We are live right now on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So, if I am reading or replying to comments that you don't happen to see, then that is why. So yeah, we've got Brooke from Indy, we've got Liz from Costa Rica, wonderful, Chinu, Pamela, Atlanta, Faye from England. Wonderful. We've got Pakistan, we've got Scotland, we've got Connecticut and Oklahoma. I happen to be in Vermont right now. I'm in southern Vermont in a beautiful small town where it is raining. So that's very nice for this summer day. And I hope whether it's morning or afternoon or evening where you are, that your Monday has been wonderful so far. And whether or not it has been wonderful, perhaps we can change the course of things with a little bit of meditation here, right? So we've got, yeah, Liz from Arizona, Marie from Louisiana, Stephanie from Germany. So wonderful to see people from all over the world joining us in meditation right now and participating from everywhere. Um, so today, I think the title is, becoming mindful, becoming mindful, which I assume if you are on this call is something that you are interested in doing, right? How can we remember to be more mindful? So I thought with our meditation this morning, that we would work on visualizing and sensing into and connecting to, um, you know, a person, an energy, something, a higher power, whatever we want to call it, that really for us embodies, what we might consider perfect mindfulness, right? And I use that term perfect loosely and lovingly, right? Because I think sometimes, it helps us to have a a mentor or a model or a guru perhaps, or just a shining example of mindfulness in our lives. And so maybe today we can connect a little more closely to who that person is for us. um, so before we start the meditation, think about who you might bring to mind during this meditation, and who might that be for you, right? Is there a very real person in your life, someone that you know who embodies the qualities of mindfulness that you wish you would, you know, get better at or more often remember to embody, right? Like just mindfulness, or is there someone that really demonstrates to you like love and compassion and kindness or understanding? Is there someone who embodies, ability to forgive, right? Or just like a stable, grounded sense of calm, right? And maybe that's a real person, maybe it's a teacher, a mother, someone in your community, someone you work with, someone you've known in the past, right? But maybe it's, a historical figure, right? Maybe we can call to mind someone like the Dalai Lama or Jesus Christ or, any historical figure, Mother Teresa, anyone that like really for us we can connect to, who embodies, this sense of mindfulness that we aspire to. And maybe as we do this meditation this morning, maybe it's you, right? Maybe you visualize or connect to, you when you're at your very best, right? You when you know you're really present, you're really connected, you're really like just feeling stable and dialed in, right? Or maybe it's a future version of you, right? The version of you that you intend to cultivate through mindfulness and through meditation practice, right? So that's what we'll be working with. And we'll do approximately a 20-minute meditation. And then we will discuss and have a little bit of time for Q&A afterwards. So yeah, so wonderful to see everyone. Yeah, Liz, Jessica, Simona, we've got people from Romania, New Jersey, Germany, Iran. I'm just reading through these. New York City, London, Ireland, so all over. So just know as we start the practice here that you are being surrounded and supported by fellow meditators from all over the world. Lorena from Mexico, hello. And yeah, think about, okay, who will I work with in this meditation, right? Liz says in the comments, Jesus Christ. Maybe that's who Liz works with. Maybe we work with a beloved teacher, a beloved caretaker, caregiver that we know. Maybe it's another historical figure, and maybe it is just the best version of ourselves, right? So let's find that mindfulness superhero, so to speak. And that's who we'll work with in the meditation. So go ahead and just get comfortable, sit up tall, but allow the shoulders to soften. Allow the belly, the thighs to soften. And maybe you close your eyes or just look down away from the screen. Remove yourself from the distraction of that movement on the screen. And turn your attention inward. We'll take 3 slow, deep, and full cycles of breath in and out through the nose. And let these deep, slow, full breaths be a cue to the body, a cue to the mind that we are intentionally stepping away from the ordinary world for a moment and into our practice. And after those 3 deep, full breaths, still breathing in and out through the nose, but finding perhaps a more relaxed, easy breath. Sensing into the body. And with exhale breath, inviting in a little more ease. And really allowing our weight to just drop into this seat and to feel that connection to this place, this time, right here and right now. Allow yourself to be here fully. And with body and mind a little more settled, we'll bring to mind our mindfulness superhero, right? Who comes to mind? Who embodies for you all these qualities of mindfulness, compassion, loving kindness, patience, and open-heartedness, or ability to forgive, ability to let go? Is there someone for you that embodies just stable minds, groundedness, clarity, or an ability to be present with joy? This could be a real person. This could be a historical figure, a heavenly figure or divine presence. And it could be you, the best version of you, you when you're at your best. But whoever it is, let's seat this person across from us. Or maybe we visualize them in the sky above us. We see them seeing us. So we see them smiling, looking upon us, looking down on us, or directly across from us. And we see that they are already happy that we are here, right? They're already rejoicing in our efforts, glad that we are present right here in the meditation, participating in this practice. And so let's think for a moment about all the qualities we admire in this person, in this presence, and why. What comes to mind? And perhaps these are the same qualities that we too wish to embody. Mindfulness, presence, patience, perhaps a sense of equanimity or compassion, the ability to care equally for all beings. What is it that makes this person special? Maybe it's their ability to remain stable and calm and grounded in moments of discomfort. Maybe it's their open-heartedness, their infinite compassion and capacity for love. What else? And now imagine that perhaps this mindfulness superhero of ours did experience a moment of pain or discomfort or dissatisfaction, how might they react? Would they seek to avoid or silence this pain? Or would they do something else? And, if you were experiencing disappointment or discomfort or pain or any type of suffering, what do you think this mindfulness superhero might say to you? What might they suggest to you? You know, do you think that life is and always has been perfect and happy and easygoing for this superhero of yours? Right? Are they mindful and present and compassionate because they've never experienced any pain or discomfort or nothing has ever gone wrong for them? Would this superhero of yours expect that their own life or that anyone else's life should be perfect in this way, right? Always easygoing, never with a challenge. If this mindfulness superhero of yours was having a less than perfect day, would they allow that to define them? What if they made a mistake? What if they said something they shouldn't have? What if they were having sad or uncomfortable thoughts or emotions? What then? And if you made a mistake or if you said something you shouldn't have or you were having a hard time, what would they say to you? In what ways does this mindful superhero of yours offer grace and compassion and spaciousness and acceptance to every part of their humanity? And in what ways does their acceptance of their full humanity allow you to accept yours too? Once more, bring to mind all of the qualities that you admire in this person. this figure, this archetype. Reflecting upon how recognizing those qualities in another might make it easier for you to see them in yourself. And with all these mindful, loving, kind qualities in mind, what about asking your mindfulness superhero to bless you with these qualities? And of course they will. And of course they do, because our mindfulness superhero is infinitely generous and wants nothing but the best for us. And they are so happy that we ask. So see them smiling at you and feel them blessing you, right? Maybe they reach out a hand. Maybe they just send the light from their heart to yours. Maybe the blessing is in a smile. Whatever it is and in whatever form it comes, feel in your body that this blessing has landed. Understand that the only reason why we can recognize mindfulness or patience or infinite love and compassion and generosity in another is because we already have those same qualities in ourselves. So sense into that. You'll notice if there's any resistance to that truth. And we can allow that to be there if there is. But at the same time, we can hold this understanding that whatever beauty and perfection we see in another is just a reflection of the beauty and perfection that we have within. So sit for a moment here directly across from your mindfulness superhero. Having received their blessing, basking in their qualities as they bask in yours. They freely give the blessing, but they understand that you don't need it, that you're already perfect. already mindful, already loving, already joyous. Perhaps thank our mindfulness superhero for their presence. Thank them for joining us in our meditation. They smile upon you. They are so happy to have been invited. And this feeling and the memory of them and their example now seems closer to you. And with their blessing is something that you can carry with you throughout the rest of your day. So you could send them on their way, or perhaps you carry them with you, right? Perhaps you see this mindfulness superhero of yours shrink down and either land at the top of your head or land deep within your heart space. And maybe it's there that they live and that they stay for the rest of your day, present with you as a shining example of what's possible when we remember, right? When we remember to be more mindful and to embody all of the wonderful positive qualities that mindfulness develops. So, as you're ready, we can open the eyes and let go of the meditation and come back to this space. And if you have the time to stick around a little bit, we can answer questions, discuss what we just did in the meditation. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you for your comments. Thank you, Linda. She asked about if we have a schedule for these live meditations. Yeah, if you visit either the Facebook or the LinkedIn or the YouTube pages, you will be able to see what meditations are scheduled. But in general, we do these every Monday, early morning Pacific time, and every Thursday, later morning Pacific time. But visit the mindfulness exercises, Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube to learn more. Um, yeah, so we just completed a meditation, kind of working with connecting to, sensing into, getting more familiar with our mindfulness superhero, right? And that's what we're calling it, our mindfulness superhero. And it really helps to have one. If you don't have a mindfulness superhero, maybe, take a little bit of a time to think about who that person might be for you, right? I mean, I think all of us have someone in our lives who at some point or another just offered us amazing grace or compassion or kindness or forgiveness or, even if just in one moment, really stood out as a shining example of like what is possible for us here in this human condition, right? We all have perhaps someone, and maybe not all the time, but maybe one time, they just acted in a way that made us go like, "Ah, man, I wish I could be that. I wish I could be like that." Right? I wish I could embody that. I wish I could let go in that way. I wish I could be patient in that way. Ugh, I wish I could, forgive others in that same way. Or I just wish I could, remain calm in that way, right? And maybe if we don't have that experience with a real person, we've heard about these people, right? Um, these people could be historical figures, such as the Dalai Lama, such as Jesus Christ, right? Or, these people could be, anyone that we've read a story about. Um, but they're real and they're out there, right? Mm, and maybe we can even work with this, right, in terms of working with of our best version of ourselves, right? Um, Maybe we've had one spectacular moment in the past where we didn't overreact, or we, took a pause and responded with patience, or we, had some crazy out of body experience where we just like, we're extremely present and just connected to compassion, or like our capacity for strength or resilience surprised us or blew us away, right? Maybe we've had that experience, and we can tap into that experience, and we can work on remembering that experience and what it felt like, right? Or maybe we imagine that as a future experience, right? We can imagine ourselves like the future practiced mindful version of ourselves as, having done something differently, or doing things differently, or, reacting to people differently, right? And we can work with that too. So there's many ways to get towards this mindfulness superhero of ours, right? This shining example. And why? Well, I think it really helps us to remember that all of these qualities which we aspire to cultivate in our mindfulness practice, all of these qualities are possible, right? It is possible, and it is possible for us to remember to be mindful, right? um we all have those moments where, we forget our mindfulness, and in hindsight we're like, oh, I wish I would have remembered to respond in a different way, right? Um, and when we have those moments, we can think about, well, conjuring up this mindfulness superhero is not about like comparing ourselves to them, or going, oh, this person is perfect and like I'm bad or I'm wrong because I'm not perfect in the same way they are. It's like, well, no. Like these people are human, even the Buddha was human, Jesus Christ was human, the Dalai Lama is human, Mother Teresa is human, right? These people have made mistakes in their lives, right? These people have had regrets. These people have felt guilt. These people have felt shame. These people have, you know, done things that they wish they wouldn't have done, or said things that they wish they wouldn't have said. But how would they react, right? So it's not about like this shining example of perfection that helps us further beat ourselves down, but we can really ask ourselves in these moments of doubt, or in these moments of, you know, ugh, would have, could have, should have, how would my mindfulness superhero react? And if my mindfulness superhero saw me now, you know? I really, really doubt that they would point fingers and blame and shame and, criticize. They would probably say, "You know what? Like, give yourself a break, you know? We can do better moving forward, and we can remember, and we can even rejoice in this moment, rejoice in the fact that we've like recognized and become aware of our transgressions, because without that, how would we ever grow, right? Maybe your mindfulness superhero would say something like that, right? Yeah, Kristen says, I think it also really supports alignment of intention and impact in life. Yeah, absolutely. Um, when you think about, what are my deepest, most heartfelt desires? What do I want to do with this body? What do I want to do with this life? What do I want to do with my time here? Right? Um, well, we can look to some of our mindfulness superheroes for examples of what a life well lived really looks like, right? How has this person been of service? How has this person lived with grace? How has this person applied, compassion in their life? How do they support others? You know, um, so it really helps to have these examples, these people that we look up to, or these, energetic beings, divine beings that we look up to. You know, and we can look up to, again, the highest, the best version of ourselves, right? We can use that too. What would it look like for me in my body, in my life, to really be living all these qualities that I admire, right? And we can take some time meditating on that, right? So, we can begin to see, you know, possibility. We can begin to see possibilities. And having someone outside of ourselves that mirrors some of these possibilities is a really useful tool. Um, in all of our relationships, there's always a mirror. And we too are always acting as a mirror for others. Every time that we come into contact with another human being, the way in which we react to them, it, mirrors for them like who we think they are. And every time we come into contact with another human being, the way they react to us kind of can mirror for us like who we think we are, right? So, have you had someone in your life that just looks at you with loving eyes, looks at you with loving eyes no matter what, right? And what has that mirrored for you? And what possibilities does that open up, inside of you? And, so how can we be better mirrors for others and look at others always with loving eyes, and you know has there been someone like a teacher, someone who's like really seen the best in you, you know that person, when they really see the best in you, you know it feels good, right? It makes you feel like, oh, you know I have potential, right? Like, maybe I'm not who I think I am. Maybe I'm not who the self-critical voice says I am, right? um and we can call to mind that person who would see the best in us, even if they're not physically in front of us with their presence, standing in front of us. We can always call them to mind, and we can always imagine, what would this mindfulness superhero of mine, what would this infinitely compassionate person that I know of, you know, if they were here looking at me, what would they see in me right here, right now? And I bet you they would probably see something good, right? Um, Yeah, Kristen, thank you for your comments. Yeah, all these practices, sincerely, yes, they do increase fulfillment and happiness, right? And that's what mindfulness is all about, right? We want to be happier. We want to be more at peace. We want to be more at ease, right? Um, yeah, and Liz, thank you too for your comment, Liz, on YouTube. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day and a week ahead. Yeah. So, if we're working with someone too, our mindfulness superhero that is human, right, which is a good idea, it's really helpful to remember, like, you know, their lives haven't been perfect. Their lives haven't always been easy. More often than not, they got to where they are because they've really had to struggle, right? They've really had to work through some stuff. They've really had to practice, right? And that can be like a wonderful motivator for us and an inspiration to us in our own practice, right? Our lives, of course, aren't always perfect. Things go wrong, right? Um, the unexpected happens. But we have these wonderful examples in our lives, these historical examples of people who've overcome great hardship and used that to tap into an infinite source of, you know, wellness and stability and peace and contentment within, right? So, um, and it's wonderful to remember that the only reason why we can even see or imagine these qualities in another is because we know deep inside what these qualities feel like, right? Like I can't imagine, infinite compassion in another human being because someone kind of like described that to me one time, right? Like I know what that feels like, right? Um, so really take a moment to think on that. I'm only able to recognize these mindfulness superheroes, super beings, because I have a little bit of that within, right? That's presence there within, right? And maybe by practicing with recognizing these qualities in another, it can help draw out those qualities in myself, right? It can help clear some junk away so those qualities can come to light, right? You know, I only can recognize what generosity is because I've felt that feeling of generosity, right? It's not just because I've seen other people giving things to each other, generosity. Like understand what generosity is because I felt it in my body. It's inside of me, right? Patience, calmness, contentment, stability of mind, right? Tolerance, all these qualities we do have within, and that's why we're able to see them in another, right? And so, there's this back and forth. There's this back and forth of like, you know, love, looking at love, looking at love, looking at love, right? There's a resonance that occurs when we recognize the good in another human being, helps us become a little more aware of the good that we have within, right? So, all of these are wonderful reasons to work with this mindfulness superhero and to do these types of meditations. Yeah, Jan says, or Jan says, thank you. Mildred Lee says, yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for your comments. And again, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube. And if you missed the meditation, this recording will be there. So you can always go back and listen again. But if you want to do this meditation on your own, I can just do like a quick recap of what it was that we did. Yeah, first just responding to Mildred Lee's, I hope I'm saying your name right. I just want to respond to her comment. Yeah, she says, I believe all of us have had the experience of all kinds of virtues, indeed, and that mindfulness helps us reconnect with those experiences. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. We're not just sitting here meditating on ideas, although in part we are, we're sitting here meditating on like a felt experience, right? A very real felt experience, and that's the wisdom. The wisdom is felt, in the body, not always just thought up here in the thinking mind, right? And the more time that we spend like tapping into that sensation, right? Whether it's sensing into those qualities and what they are like in someone else, or sensing into those qualities and what they feel like in our own body. um, the more we cultivate those virtues, the more we cultivate those qualities, right? Okay, so let's recap what we did on today's meditation, right? We brought to mind someone that we're calling our mindfulness superhero, right? Who embodies these virtues, these qualities, these characteristics that we really wish we had more of in ourselves. Like, and when you think of like, why is it that I want to practice mindfulness, and how can I remember to be more mindful? Well, what kind of qualities are you hoping to develop through this practice of mindfulness? And so we brought to mind someone who already embodies those qualities. And maybe it's someone we know, maybe it's a historical figure, maybe it's the future best version of ourselves, right? And then we visualize this person sitting across from us, and we just sat with this person and thought about all the qualities, all the virtues that they embody, that maybe we wish we had a little more of, or maybe we wish we remembered more frequently, right? Um, Perhaps we recognize that this person has cultivated those qualities over time. You know, Maybe they weren't necessarily born that way. Maybe they've had hardship in their life too. Maybe they've had bad days, right? But how does that person respond to those hardships and those bad days, and how can we learn from them, right? And then we also sat a little bit and reflected upon this truth that we can only recognize those qualities in another because they're within us. They're within us too, right? Um, And at the end of our meditation, we asked this mindfulness superhero of ours to give us their blessing, right? To give us their blessing and to kind of energetically send us some of the qualities that they have practiced and cultivated, right? To send us some of that virtue. Please, share with me some of your patience, share with me some of your tolerance, share with me some of your compassion or your generosity or your just ability to remain calm, right? And of course, because our mindfulness superhero is so generous, they happily bestow those blessings upon us, and we've visualized and we imagined and we felt those blessings land, right? And that can help us connect, with what those qualities really feel like in our body, right? What do those qualities feel like in our body? So that's the meditation. We can focus on any one aspect of it. We can work on with it on in many different ways. Um, and notice too, if you find this practice really challenging, and if you find this practice really difficult, that's okay, right? This practice doesn't come easy for all of us. Maybe this idea of, a mindfulness superhero is really difficult, right? It might be hard for us to imagine anyone in our lives that it just, has that ability to give others grace or compassion, or we might not know a lot of people that really embody presence. Maybe it's difficult for us to conjure up a historical figure, or, or it's difficult for us to imagine that we could ever embody those qualities to the extent that our mindfulness superhero does, right? And that's okay, right? And that's something that we can work with. And that's something that we can sit with and be present with and be mindful of. So I wouldn't say that that's a reason to not do this meditation. What would it feel like to just pretend? You know, what would it feel like to do these types of meditations anyway? And just pretend I knew someone who, you know, looked at me with loving eyes no matter what, right? Pretend that person is sitting across from me. And what might that feel like? What might it feel like to, sit with someone who looks at me in that way, who loves me unconditionally, right? Maybe it's your dog, right? What might it feel like um, to have those qualities within myself, even if I don't right now believe that it's possible? Can I play with the idea in a meditation and just see what happens, right? And if I do feel that resistance, and if I do find it really challenging, and if this is supremely difficult, can I be with that? Can I just be with that and give myself grace and give myself a little compassion and allow for that difficulty to be present, right? Hmm. And if I can, you know, interesting, maybe I'm embodying some of these qualities a little more than I realized that I am, right? If I can just sit with hardship for a while and just notice that hardship as part of the whole of the human experience, maybe I have a greater capacity for mindfulness than I realized, right? So, so those are just some of the benefits of doing these types of meditations. And I really thank you guys for your participation, for your comments, for um, sharing and just saying hello and saying hi and where you're listening from. Leslie, I see you just joined. Yeah, you can always go back and start this recording from the beginning and do the 20-minute meditation. Listen again, share it with others. It'll be on Facebook and LinkedIn and on YouTube. And, maybe today, as you move through your day and as you go about your day, you can kind of ask yourself again and again, what would my mindfulness superhero do? What would this person that I've chosen as like a shining example of mindfulness or compassion or patience or generosity or whatever it is, what would they do today, right? Or you can ask yourself, what would the mindful me do, right? As you go about your day today, and you sense disappointment, or you sense conflict, or you sense discomfort, or you sense challenge, or anything that it is, what would the mindful me do in this situation, right? So, if you're struggling with finding an example of mindfulness, you can always allow the future best version of yourself to be that shining example and just ask yourself, what would the mindful me do in this situation? Yeah, Julio, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad that this was of benefit to you, even if you've just caught a few minutes. Yeah, and thank you, everyone. Think about, who your mindfulness superhero is and how you might work with that person in your meditations. Invite them in, how might you carry that person with you, whether on the crown of your head or within your heart or just, over your shoulder throughout your day today. you know, if the Dalai Lama was watching, would I behave a little more differently? Right? There's tons of different ways that we can work with this practice, and may all of it, or at least some of it, be of benefit to you guys. So, Thank you so much. I will see you here every Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And please visit mindfulnessexercises.com and browse around there for more audio and video meditations, mindfulness worksheets, and different ways to bring mindfulness into your day to day life. Um, and thank you so much for your efforts, your own efforts in becoming more mindful. All of you on this call, all of you that are participating, all of you that are doing this practice, it is really you who are going to change the world. So thank you for being here, you guys. See you next Monday. Bye bye.